What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Buzz. Alexandre Tapuria defeated Khamzat Chimaev via unanimous decision at UFC Qatar, marking his second straight win in the promotion. The event in Doha delivered strong energy as the prelims kicked off, and Tapuria's performance stood out. Merab Dvalishvili congratulated him afterwards, saying, "Congratulations, my brother Alexandre. Another great win in the UFC." In his post-fight remarks, Tapuria expressed deep gratitude and humility. He said he felt great, even if he wasn't entirely sure about his performance from an outside perspective. What mattered most to him was being respectful to his teammates and the entire team that supported him to reach this moment. He emphasized that there are no secrets in fighting, only belief in yourself, a strong team behind you, and consistent hard work. When those elements come together, success becomes possible. Tapuria described himself as someone driven by ambition, but he clarified that his ambition is not rooted in fame or recognition. Instead, it comes from seeking out difficult moments, pushing himself through them, and experiencing the emotions that make the fighter's journey meaningful. He said he wants to continue living this life, win or lose, because the experience itself is invaluable. Reflecting on the emotions surrounding competition, Tapuria mentioned hearing another fighter crying backstage after a loss. He reminded everyone that even in defeat, fighters should feel grateful. They are living a life very few people ever get to experience. Although the pain of losing is real, he believes the journey is worth it regardless of the outcome. He acknowledged that it's easy to speak confidently after a win, but he now understands the value of appreciating every second spent inside the cage. He praised his opponent as a true warrior, saying that the 15 minutes they shared should be respected and appreciated by both competitors. According to Tapuria, those moments, win or lose, are what define a fighter's spirit. Before moving on to the next news, we have a quick request for you. We're always working to improve our content and truly value your support. If you could take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon, it would mean a lot to us. That way you'll never miss an update. Move on to another news. Islam Makhachev's teammate, Sagid Izagakhmaev, suffered a tough loss in his UFC debut, falling to Nicolas Dalby via split decision. Although Islam wasn't officially in his corner for the fight, he immediately stepped in to support Sagid afterward. When the result was announced, Sagid dropped to his knees in disappointment, and Islam helped him back to his feet before walking with him backstage, offering comfort and encouragement during the emotional moment. For Dalby, the victory came at a crucial time. He entered the fight on a 2-bout losing streak and admitted that the pressure heading into this matchup was overwhelming. He explained that in a sport as unforgiving as MMA, athletes are constantly aware of the stakes. For better or worse, Dalby said, "This job is tough. If you have 3 bad days at work in a row, your contract might be on the line." The win provided a much-needed sense of relief, lifting the weight he had been carrying throughout training camp. Dalby emphasized, however, that the victory doesn't mean he plans to relax or coast in his next appearance. He made it clear that although the pressure has eased, his motivation remains unchanged. "That doesn't mean I'm going to cash in on the next fight," he continued. "I still want to perform, and I still want to prove myself. But at least now, some of that pressure is gone." Despite the heartbreak for Izagakhmaev, the moment highlighted the deep bond within Makhachev's camp. The emotional reactions showcased the passion and dedication fighters bring into the octagon, as well as the support system that surrounds them. In contrast, Dalby's relief underscored the harsh realities of competing at the highest level, where every fight can determine one's future. Both sides displayed the raw human side of MMA, its triumphs, struggles, and the resilience required to move forward. Move on to another news. Luke Riley made a spectacular UFC debut, finishing Bogdangrad by knockout in the second round. The moment was especially emotional as Paddy Pimblett, who was in Riley's corner, erupted with excitement when the finishing blow landed. It was a statement performance and an impressive comeback for Riley, who showcased composure, power, and discipline in his first walk to the octagon. The MMA community reacted quickly. Terrence McKinney praised the newcomer, saying, "Luke Riley is for real. Sheesh." Meanwhile, Renato Moicano humorously admitted he couldn't fully understand Riley's post-fight interview, asking, "Can someone translate this?" Speaking after the fight, Riley struggled to put his feelings into words. He acknowledged the emotional weight of the moment, saying he couldn't fully describe everything he was feeling just yet. He credited Grad for being strong and solid, noting that his opponent came out aggressively and secured early takedowns. However, Riley explained that the fight unfolded exactly as he and his team expected. They planned to defend the takedowns, keep the fight standing, and eventually find the opening for the knockout. And that's exactly what happened. Riley said he would truly soak in the moment later, once he returned to the hotel, watched the fight back, and talked with his family and those closest to him. For now, he said, he is simply a happy man, grateful for the opportunity and proud of the statement he made in his UFC debut. He acknowledged that not everyone will support him as he rises through the ranks, but he remains focused on staying true to himself. Riley added that despite any criticism or negativity, he is living his dream and intends to enjoy every moment of it. The win not only introduced him to UFC fans in emphatic fashion, but also established him as a prospect to watch moving forward. Move on to another news. In the main event, Arman Tsarukyan delivered a dominant performance, defeating Dan Hooker via second-round arm triangle choke. The finish showcased Tsarukyan's precision, control, and submission expertise, immediately generating reactions across the MMA world. Henry Cejudo stated that Arman may be the fighter capable of dethroning Ilia Tapuria, while Luke Thomas said that Ilia's next bout should absolutely be against Arman Tsarukyan, calling it the best performance of Arman's career. The MMA guru echoed the sentiment, pushing for Tsarukyan to receive the next title shot, and even suggested booking Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett on the same card. As the submission unfolded, Coach Tim Welch reacted live, commenting on Arman's setup. "He's going head and arm. One of his best moves. That head and arm choke is deep. That's jigs." Watching Hooker trapped in the choke, he added, "Look at his head. Not good." Moments later, the tap confirmed Tsarukyan's victory, prompting loud applause and reactions throughout the arena. Khamzat Chimaev was in Tsarukyan's corner, and after the win, Arman lifted him off the ground and carried him across the cage in celebration. An emotional moment highlighting their camaraderie and confidence in the performance. Following the fight, Tsarukyan addressed the crowd with intensity and focus. He emphasized that he is the only fighter actively stepping up and that others have avoided facing him. He called for a face-off with Ilia Tapuria and declared that there is only one true no, one contender in the division, himself. Tsarukyan urged the UFC not to give Ilia an easy fight and insisted that everyone knows he deserves a title shot next. Confident and ready, he closed by saying he will be prepared at the end of January and instructed the UFC to send the contract. With a dominant finish over a veteran contender and overwhelming support from fans and analysts, Arman Tsarukyan firmly positioned himself as the next challenger for championship gold. Move on to another news. Backstage at UFC Qatar, tensions erupted when Khamzat Chimaev and Ian Garry crossed paths. What began as a brief exchange quickly escalated into a heated confrontation, ending with Chimaev shoving Garry as team members rushed in to separate them. According to witnesses, the two initially exchanged words about their performances and future matchups. Chimaev appeared ready to challenge Garry, while Garry responded confidently, suggesting that Chimaev had no real interest in fighting. The atmosphere grew tense as both men stood chest to chest, neither willing to back down. As the conversation intensified, Garry questioned Chimaev's behavior, pointing out that Khamzat's teammate had just won moments earlier. Garry criticized him for causing a scene instead of celebrating with his team, saying that such conduct was unbecoming of someone expected to be a champion. He called Chimaev's actions childish and reminded him that this sport demands professionalism, especially from top contenders. Corner teams and security stepped in as voices rose, urging both fighters to calm down. "Relax, boys," one staff member said, trying to defuse the situation before it escalated further. Despite the tension, Garry still offered congratulations to Chimaev's teammate, reiterating that he didn't want the altercation to overshadow the fighter's victory. The moment served as a stark reminder of the intensity and competitiveness that follow fighters even outside the cage. Garry maintained that he had no interest in unnecessary backstage drama, while Chimaev's actions continued to fuel speculation about potential future matchups and rivalries. Though the confrontation ended without further incident, it added another chapter to the growing friction between two of the UFC's most talked about personalities. Move on to another news. In the co-main event, Ian Garry secured a unanimous decision victory over Bilal Muhammad, showcasing sharp precision, strong defensive grappling, and a confident performance from start to finish. Immediately afterward, Garry called for a title shot against lightweight champion Islam Makhachev, declaring that he had earned his place at the top. Reactions across the MMA community were mixed. Kamaru Usman appeared unimpressed, responding with nothing more than a yawning emoji. Charles Oliveira congratulated Garry on the win, while Ariel Helwani scored the fight 30-27 in Garry's favor. Henry Cejudo agreed that Garry clearly won but argued he does not yet deserve a title shot, suggesting instead that Garry should rematch Shavkat Rakhmonov in March. Cejudo believes Kamaru Usman is the rightful next challenger for Makhachev. Caio Baralho added that regardless of the decision, Carlos Prates should be next in line for the title. Tim Welch, however, expressed strong confidence in Garry's future, saying he is a world champion in the making. Jon Anik weighed in as well, stating that if the UFC strictly follows meritocracy based on Garry's accomplishments, then he should be considered next for the opportunity to challenge Islam Makhachev. After the fight, Garry delivered a fiery and focused message inside the octagon. He emphasized that Bilal couldn't take him down and reminded Islam that he had trained with his camp, claiming even then they could not overpower him. Garry challenged Makhachev directly, telling him to bring the belt, bring the record, and attempt to take him down himself. Garry declared himself the best welterweight in the world and insisted that Islam has a responsibility to defend the belt against the division's top contender. He promised to show up anywhere on the globe for the fight and vowed to break Islam's streak and take the throne for himself. Confident and unshakable, Garry closed by telling the champion to sign the contract, warning that nothing will stand between him, his future, and his dreams. Move on to another news. Volkan Oezdemir delivered a spectacular performance, knocking out Alonzo Menefield in the first round with a perfectly timed finish that electrified the arena. Ariel Helwani reacted instantly, saying, "Wow, no time looked absolutely ripped out there and fought like it. What a knockout!" Kenny Florian echoed the sentiment, calling it a nasty KO from Oezdemir. After the fight, Oezdemir was visibly energized and proud of the performance. He said he felt incredible and that the quick finish was exactly what he had hoped for. He explained that his goal is always to deliver a spectacular fight and a standout knockout, especially in moments that can prove he belongs among the elite of the division. Determined to return to the top 5, Oezdemir emphasized that his ambition remains the same. He is chasing the belt and wants to climb back into title contention. Oezdemir revealed that the finishing sequence was something he and his coach had specifically prepared for. They noticed Menefield's tendency to drop low while countering, creating a perfect opening for the knee Oezdemir landed. As soon as the shot connected, the fight shifted decisively in his favor, leading to the knockout. He also shared insight into his training structure. With a newly opened gym in Switzerland, he balances time between coaching and fighting. For this camp, he brought training partners from Sweden to Switzerland so the athletes at his gym could witness high-level preparation firsthand. After absorbing that positive energy, he returned to Sweden to finalize his camp before heading to Qatar. Reflecting on his career, Oezdemir noted that his very first UFC fight was against a ranked opponent, and since then, he has never fallen out of the top 10, a streak now lasting more than 8 years. Still, he insists he doesn't want to simply remain in the rankings. He wants to dominate and push toward the title. He expressed interest in facing Jamahal Hill next, while acknowledging Jan Blachowicz already has a fight lined up. Oezdemir concluded by saying he will fly home immediately to celebrate with his family. After an early arrival, they'll have plenty of time to regroup and enjoy a well-earned victory party together. Move on to another news. Myktabek Orolbai defeated Jack Hermansson via a devastating first-round knockout, marking a tough setback for Hermansson, who had moved down to welterweight in hopes of revitalizing his career. Unfortunately, this loss becomes his second consecutive brutal knockout. In his previous bout, Hermansson faced Gregory Rodriguez at middleweight and was knocked out cold in the first round. Many in the MMA community are now questioning whether the weight change was the right decision for him. The MMA guru openly suggested that Hermansson should consider retirement, citing the repeated knockout losses and the physical toll they bring. Analyst Luke Thomas also weighed in, saying that although Orolbai clearly has power, the finishing shot didn't even appear to land with maximum force. He added that Hermansson's decision to cut down to 170 pounds always seemed like a risky career move, and this outcome only reinforces those concerns. Following the victory, Orolbai explained that he and his coaching team will take some time to evaluate the next step in his career. Over the coming month, the team plans to sit down, review the performance, and decide whether to remain in the current weight class or drop back down. For now, the win serves as a strong statement for Orolbai's rising momentum, even as Hermansson faces serious questions about his future in the sport.